Forward! All right. Ball left! Ball left! Forward!
Welcome, listeners, to our first Missing Links podcast. In this first episode, we are hopefully going to discuss who we are as the Fantastic Four, our own playing styles, our purpose, and why we ended up calling this podcast The Missing Links in itself. So before we get going properly, we better introduce ourselves. My name's Joe, aka the Axeman. Ed, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Ed, and I am the Draw King. No, I renamed myself actually to Boomerang Boy. I thought that sounded better because the ball genuinely ends up closer to me. It goes further away and then comes back closer because it curls around that much. So, Benjamin?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I guess you could consider me the big hitter of the four. Never straight, always long. And that's the ethos, really. You know, go big or go home.
Right, well, I'm Matt, and I've been known as Sandy Lee, but I haven't missed a fairway in about 2 years, so don't know why.
Claim.
Oh God, if they watch my golf.
That's going in the book of quotes.
And together, we are the Fantastic Four, F-O-R-E, if anyone's wondering. Golfing pun, obviously.
If you're part of one.
And what we wanted to do was start a podcast because we felt there wasn't an amateur discussion of golf on the market. And I think it's something that we could fill and hopefully populate with interesting content for you all, our listeners. I suppose the first bit that we really wanted to get onto is what is our purpose as the Fantastic Four? And I suppose, to be honest, we're just going to go around table and ask everyone because we've each got our own reasons for doing this. But I suppose to get us kicking, get us cracking on, I feel like we need to pass over to Mr. Daly for him to state what his purpose is in the Fantastic Four.
Big question. Purpose, amateur discussion, as you mentioned. I think that's the key. That's the root of it all. Is the amateurness of what we do, how we conduct ourselves in a very amateur manner, how we play in a very amateur manner, and how we enjoy the amateur aspect, I suppose, and relating that with conversation that we have on the course in a tangible consumer, something you can watch, chew over, and maybe relate to. And I hope we provide some of that. I think we're all different enough in A, what we think, B, how we play, and our opinions and reasons for playing golf and doing it in the way we do it, so that I think it probably touches bases with all four corners of the golfing globe and all the people that are in it. And I think that everyone can take a bit of something away from this, whether that's a reassurance that you're not the only one who's desperately struggling to get better, desperately struggling to find a reason to go back to the course every weekend.
We know how you feel.
Yeah, everyone's in the same boat, but there's nowhere that's talked about, I don't think. So let this be the place where you come to release your golfing angst, your golfing stress.
Your inner amateur.
Your inner amateur, yeah. Your inner and your outer amateur.
I love it. Matty?
I think.
Me? Yeah. I don't really know. I love the game.
You turn up and win, don't you, Matt? Simple as that.
I literally I come to beat these guys. Goal make me look good, which is a great feeling. But I mean, there's not much more to say, is there? Like, I get shit for it, but I still beat them. Actually, I turn up. It's a good game. It's a frustrating game. We love it. We hate it. Ben said about we all think. I don't think. I just hit the ball, But it's about being with your mates. You have a laugh, isn't it? Not much more to say, really.
I mean, it's one of the most simple answers I've ever heard, but we love it.
I'm a realist.
That was very Murray-esque, Matt.
Yeah, I should have done my accent.
Like that.
I agree. I agree with these two. I think for me the key is like you look all over the internet and all you see is guys that I think give off the impression that they're amateurs, but they're going around in like under +5, which isn't really amateur-esque. It's not proper amateur.
Should I leave the call or what?
So, the record, Matty is still in double figures. So
cheers,
got a
mate.
bit of work to do, mate.
Let that be known.
Yeah, and I will get there before you.
I know.
And that's what's gonna be known. Yeah, no, I think it's having the relatable content of the fact that 50% of my shots are shit, and I think most people will relate to that in a golf course because like all you see on the internet is, or you go on YouTube and you watch videos of different courses or whatever, and you'll see the local golf pro like striking it, and it's not really a true reflection of what the game should be built around, which is the enjoyment and the the love, I guess, the love of the game, and the social aspect as well. So yeah, that for me is the key. And it'll help bring out bring on the sport as well. I think it's something that golf's missing.
Well, I think you've touched on it. I think the youthful aspect of golf is something that I think has really taken off during the pandemic, at least from what I've seen online. And it's one of those games that, I mean, you'll never be perfect at it. Nobody has a perfect round of golf, so there's always something to work on, something to improve. But to be honest,
Morikawa was pretty close yesterday.
That's true.
Or the day before. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Not in his mind.
Well, maybe not, but
yeah.
Well, to be honest, I'm just here for the money and the transferable skills into other industries once I become a podcast star.
How's that working out for you, Joe?
Not good so far. But we'll get there. But yeah, so to be honest, I'm just into helping the Fantastic Fore, facilitating my golf now and into the future, and being able to talk about it with my mates week in, week out, day in, day out. Because it's
an interesting point is the journey from improvement to distinctly amateur, from distinctly amateur to average amateur.
It's documenting that journey as well. That is probably part of what a lot of people don't actually do, but are interested in, because it is that story. So yeah, for me, it's very much part of that as well. And
it's a tough sport. It's not easy to get better at.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, we are documenting like the emotions behind the sport. Like, you know, nobody just goes on and has a great time. Like inside, you are still raging a lot of the time. We're just showing that.
It's true.
Yeah, we're trying to provide relatable content to other amateurs, essentially. That's the purpose, right?
It's easy to get caught up in what you see and what you read, and when I'm looking through, I'm spending my evenings watching golf videos on YouTube. I'm not watching the bad golfers. I'm watching the good ones. It's easy to forget that there's actually, of all the golfers in the world, 99.9% of those are us. You know, that's the proportion of the golfers we make up.
What's our combined lessons in golf?
Actual lessons, 1.
So we have
I think I had 1.
We have a grand total, Smithy.
I think I had 1 in La Manga, but it was how to hit a chip, and that was it. And obviously,
mine was pitching.
That's a pretty naughty place to have a lesson. So we've got a grand total of 3 individual lessons between us.
Well, I've given you a few lessons, Ed. So you add those in if you want. Whatever. Let me see.
I think I need a few more.
3 professional lessons, shall we say?
Yeah.
In the go on, Ed.
No, I was just going to say that, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, and it's what you don't see on a lot of videos.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And yeah, when you feel like there's 95% of actual golfers have probably, many would you say, 5 lessons or less, something like that, and are trying to make proper technical changes every single time when they're on the course.
Yeah,
the average lessons per person is going to be point something. You know, most people, I think, it's just something that's they've gone and done once, and maybe they'll do once every 6 months, once every year, maybe for the majority, and expect to be good at. We are evidence that you can play 3 times a week and still be crap. You know, so maybe that's the next thing. Lessons.
Yeah.
Maybe that will completely destroy everything we think we know.
You know, maybe that's
How much are you charging, Ben?
Well, first one's free, and we'll go from there. But yeah, I think I'd be afraid to get somebody to critique me and tell me what I'm doing wrong, because I think it would completely
Ruin their
shatter
life.
my perceptions of what I think I'm good at. You know, and who knows? Maybe it could have a damaging effect.
Well, that's a nice segue, Ben, and I like you said that, because what we're going to go on to now is basically a discussion of what we perceive our playing styles to be. So whilst you're there, why don't you just talk us through what your playing style is like?
My style is complete, absolute ignorance for the truth, and complete, undying, unrelenting, unsupported belief that I'm better than I am. And I think every time I step onto the first tee of a golf course, in my head, I'm going around 3-4 under. And when I don't, I'm questioning why. And time doesn't seem to change that. That still always seems to be the way. And if I see a tee shot or an approach shot that looks like it could be played to perfection, but there's a 10% chance of it, or it could be played to a degree of, you know, comfort and, you know, what would be an acceptable golf shot, that's the 90%, and I'll choose the 10%, much to my ever failing ways. But yeah, I think that's definitely how I play golf, but it's not how I should. But I think part of me enjoys and is a bit addicted to the risk and reward side of golf. You know, I think the kick I get from pulling something off is far greater than the satisfaction from playing safe.
We know. Yeah.
I don't think that is constructive or healthy, but I do think that's what it is.
You're very much style over function sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Which is, and it's rarely stylish, and rarely functional.
I don't think that ties with your nickname of the Butcher that well.
Butcher, yeah. Slices and shanks.
Slices.
Roll up. Come and get your slices and your shanks. Yeah.
That's good. I've just seen your girlfriend's liked our latest Instagram post as well, so that's always good.
Well,
a supportive partner through this as well. I think that's imperative to have.
She's in trouble if she doesn't. So you know.
All right, Matty, what do you think your playing style is?
The complete opposite to Ben. Like, it's what Ben hates the most in life. I think is safer, more boring. Is the opposite. I think, is it? It's not even good. It's just steady. Although I have started out driving them, so.
That's fine.
Now I used to drive for 2 weeks, you know. Although it is Ben's driver, so I'll let him off.
Driving is the wrong word. I'd say you are driving better than me. I wouldn't say out driving. That implies you can hit it as far, which you just can't. But
no, that's true. That's true.
Know, so just wind your neck in. But you know,
it's straighter.
It's more important, frankly.
It's sensible golf, I'd say. I'd say anything I need to, in my head, be on the green in reg, because as we've all seen, my putting is just a different level. It's just not great. You know, there are people that can walk on never putting in their life, and they will putt better than me.
It's a different level of rubbish.
Yeah. No, there were people that have never putted before and putt better than me. Like, you know, I will go from next to the hole and then be 3 or 4 foot past it, so I'll be going further away. So for my golf, I feel I have to be on the green and reg all the time.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more. It's not slash. It's a bit more boring. Probably for viewers, it's not going to be as fun to watch. I can't really relate. Like, Ben's going to be the one you want to watch for sure.
Well,
yeah.
for now.
Less shanks, I'd say, maybe.
For now. What about you?
For now.
Um, I actually don't know what style I could describe my game as. Hit and miss. That's probably the best way to describe it. Very hit and miss.
Yeah.
1 minute it'll go straight. The next it's 3 fairways to the left.
Always to the left, never to the right.
Never
Started
to the right,
3 fairways to the right.
I don't think I've seen you slice a ball.
No, if I've sliced it, it's more of it's a fade. It's not a slice. It's a correctional fade, shall we say? But it's tactical. Meal brace, of course, I've played and practiced on a lot. Has a road to the right hand side of hole number 6. So if there's a shot that I'm going to hit, it's got to be right to left rather than left to right. Otherwise, I'm in trouble with some cars there. So yeah, but I think hit and miss is the best for mine. Some shots even Tiger would be proud of. Other shots, Tiger wouldn't even admit that his child hit. So yeah, that's probably a fair comparison of my style. But again, probably quite aggressive. Probably the risk reward thing I think is something that I'll also consider in my game. Has been, I love the challenge. Like every time I'm like, I can play through that gap in the trees, but full well knowing it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's the part of the game I do like, the challenge, the challenge of those tricky shots. What about you, Joseph?
Well, what about me? What about me? Stylish, sleek, innovative.
I mean, we'd all like to comment on this, but we've usually fallen asleep by the time you've stopped your backswing. So
variable.
I even had time to go for a cup of tea when you were swinging, and then come back.
For the listeners who haven't seen our social medias on Instagram or TikTok, follow at the Fantastic Fore whilst you're there. I have got the slowest backswing known to man, and it's pretty much translated from my serve in tennis to the golf swing, and the backswing on that. And it's a point that Ben in particular really grates on you. I feel like grates a lot, and you can't work out why.
No, I think I can see in your 3 or 4 practice swings before your shot this smooth, quick, fluid, perfect looking golf swing.
Yeah.
And then you step up to the ball and it's almost like you click your fingers in it, and then it's this slow. And when it works, and it's bullet straight. But when it doesn't work, it's lethal. And I think that if you can work in some more fluidity, I can just see it. Club speed, how speed will help your rotation, because there's only so far you can take your arms back naturally. But a bit of what's the word? A bit of momentum helps to create that speed and that power. So you could get those shots to be keeping the same sort of swing style, but just getting that speed up and just taking the ball an extra. Probably, I think you could get 30 or 40 yards extra out of your clubs.
Yeah. And that's from like a not very muscular man at the moment. And I think what I hear from what you've just said there is really I've got the most potential out of all of us to become.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Great golfer. So that's what I'm hearing. I don't know about the rest of you, but that's what I'm hearing.
I mean, I'm just still questioning the word man in there. I feel like it could be changed to boy, but that's a whole different matter.
Yeah.
The time you finished your downswing, the green keepers have changed the pin positions, so you could probably take a different club anyway.
I also think sometimes you talk yourself out of the shot because you stand over the ball for an incredibly long time and then start this slow backswing.
Yeah, I do.
You look at. Yeah, you do. You look it up, you eye it up, you almost have a conversation with it. You tell it where it's going to go, but it's been so much time that it's also told you that it's not going there, and then Sometimes does, sometimes doesn't.
When it goes bad and Ben's behind me, I just know as soon as I've hit it, he's just going, "Oh, Joe." He does the same sort of
He does the same one every time.
the same one. He goes, "Oh, Joe."
It's so because there's so much there which should be right, you know. And there's so much there that is right in the swing, and I just feel like it's these minor details which are letting you down. I can see it. It feels good.
We'll get
And
there.
all of a sudden,
We'll get there.
For sure.
We already saw it briefly on the range the other day.
oh, the other day, Matt, you just gone.
Oh,
that was at Hawkston on the range when you were just. I mean, I felt so tired and hot and flustered and overwhelmed that I couldn't hit a ball straight for my life after having played 18 holes in the morning.
You two were like,
Joe seemed to have this just crazy kind of like flow about him. Each shot towards the end of that range session was just spot on.
It was good.
And that's what I mentioned to you about trying to get some momentum and increasing the club speed and stuff. That's interesting though, because there's no way I could have hit a good ball. I don't think I did hit a good ball 6 out of the 60 that we put on the basket. I think maybe 6 were even remotely accurate.
It's funny you bring up the comment of Ben standing the comments that follow your shot, because I can also relate to that as well. Can you do a little impression of what happens when I hit a shot, Ben? And
oh no! Oh god! It's like that. It's like a roller coaster. It's like watching someone take a free kick, you know, and it's going towards the top corner, and last minute it just clips the post, and it's like, oh, you know, it's just amazing ball flight, which just tornadoes, dive bombs like an eagle falling from the sky down to its prey. But your prey isn't the hole; it's the trees. And next thing you know, you're just off the planet, and I'm left feeling emotionally drained from watching the shot. Totally distracted, thinking I was about to see something wonderful. And sometimes I do. Let's not, you know, I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't work sometimes. But God, the emotional turmoil we're put through watching you hit a nice big draw. Crikey.
You can understand how drained I feel after a round. It's it really takes it out of me.
Well, hopefully that's covered some of our playing styles, and everybody knows what we're about and what we're not about, more importantly, and what we can and can't do, which is most kind of things. Which leads us on, given that we've discussed our purpose, given that we've discussed our playing styles, is this podcast, which aptly, I think we came to the conclusion, I don't know who actually thought of the name in the end, I couldn't work out if it was you, Ben, is we've got it listed as the missing links. And I've got a note in my Notion app where me and Ed have written this up, is why it's called the missing links. I've got why that name, and then as an aside from the obvious golfing pun, is it that so many amateurs are really only missing a few key technique changes that they can make a vast difference to their game? Thoughts, comments, discussions?
I don't think it was me that came up with the name, although I'll take it if no one else wants to claim that, because it's pretty good. But I don't think it was me.
I think it was me. I think it was. Yeah.
Claim it. Go with it. But it worked.
Yeah,
and I think that is it's a good umbrella term for, I think, the kind of topics that are worth talking about, which is not necessarily what's there and what's wrong, perhaps, but what is missing. You know, rather than I think if you focus on what's wrong, maybe that's a bit that there's too many negative connotations with that. But maybe if you focus on what we could add rather than what you need to take away, that's probably a more constructive thought pattern, I'd say, for golf. And thinking about what's missing. And there's I know for a fact there's a multitude of things missing from my golf game. But I think that's a good base route to be running through the podcast is the missing link. And, you know, that ties back nicely to what we're all trying to find out, which is what's missing from us individually. And hopefully that'll resonate and maybe trigger some thoughts within other people about what they're missing from their golf game.
gone very deep and philosophical, but I think you're onto the right track there. It's quite good. I like it. Matty, any thoughts, comments? Probably not.
What? No, not really.
Thanks,
Right.
Matt.
I forgot I was part of the call.
Ed?
Let's move on.
I think that's a fantastic phrase to summarise the nature of an average golfer, and I do think there are a few missing, technique changes that can be made to make a vast difference to a game.
You need more than a few.
Matty being a tennis coach, I'd expect him to pipe up on this. You know, having that keen eye for technique and preparation and take back. But no, I think that's absolutely right, and I do think that a lot of people could bring their game down by 5 or 6 shots if they were to make perhaps a few key changes from the right pair of eyes. So yeah, but I think that's perhaps part of the issue is when I'm playing, I also think I am a professional golf coach. So I watch a video back of myself and think, oh, I could do with turning my wrists a bit more here. I have no idea. I really don't know. And
maybe that's part of the enjoyment, though. You know,
I think it is. I think it is. And I think there's an element of like playing tennis for a long time. It's a transferable thing of understanding the biomechanics of what the body should, or what something should look like, how to generate the swing and stuff. But yeah, I personally do think there is a few minor technique changes. Maybe Matty has got more than a few. What do you reckon, Matty?
I don't know. I feel like obviously I always compare your swing to your forehand.
Yeah.
Like in tennis, because obviously for me that's just something I can relate to.
Yeah.
Like you come round your golf swing like you come round your forehand. Like it's such a hook.
I do see it as well. Like I really see it. Like I don't.
You know, we've grown up together. Like you see it day in day out on the tennis court, and then you go to the golf course and you're like, oh, there it is. You know. But I know I completely agree. Like it is just obviously one or two small change. Well, small changes, big changes. Depends how you look at it. That can really shape the swing so differently. Obviously, we all know me. I'm not sure obviously for people who've watched the start of our social media, that I played everything off the front foot. Actually, not even off the front foot, probably about a foot in front of it. Which, you know, if you're any good at golf or have any understanding, and Ben's sitting there knowing like it, you know, it is wrong completely, but it's what works for you. And obviously it didn't work for me either. But, you know, like people sort of do what works for them for that brief time and then it doesn't work. And then you change and then, you know.
So what would you say is missing from your game, Matty? Because it does work for you to go around, like have rounds where you go around in like what, 12 over, 10 over. You've been rounding before.
Yeah, but that's just called mulligans.
Okay.
Well, no.
Don't beat yourself down, all right, Matty?
No. Do you know what that is?
The listeners don't need to know about that, all right? I'm bigging you up here. I'm giving you your moment.
Whilst you guys are looking for your balls, like I'm just saying, I've had like 3 shots, but I said I've had 1. So
I've known that for ages. I've kept quiet, you know. Funny how these sneaky rounds without us come back 9-10 over, but the comp rounds that are being watched are like 27, 28, you know.
Yeah, well, I admitted them. No.
So do you think if you made a change, Matty, to your game, you could bring your shots down?
Well, I think I did. I made the change putting the ball back behind me, like which what John told us, and it works now. Like obviously, I knew it was. This is the thing. This is a big change. Is like I knew what you guys or what people were saying was correct. It's just it's having confidence to make the change. I'm very arrogant. I'm very stubborn. For me, I was like, oh, it works. You know, I could make a birdie. I can make a putt. I can also make a few triple bogeys, but. You know, if in your head it works, then why do you want to change? But actually, it's in your head, it doesn't work, you know, hence why we are amateur golfers.
But that's a good point. There's two steps to that. There's the first bit, which is probably I think the easiest bit is identifying the missing link. And then the second stage is the hardest bit, which is implementing that. and then even that stage has its own stages: physical implementation, mental implementation, and then keeping that consistent. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers to this, defining one, and that's just one. That's just one missing thing. So when you find it, you've got to do all that, and then once you found that one, maybe at the same time you find another one, and you're trying to implement 4 swing changes at the same time.
I suppose. Yeah, I suppose if you wanted to, you could take this down to another level as well. I'm sure Ed will start to appreciate this next level neurological link with neurons and creating new synapses to really kind of fill those missing links. So that's another level that we could take it to. Ben's just looking at me like, what is he talking about? but yeah,
brains and stuff.
I work in finance. Why are you bringing up biology?
But, I like the missing links. I think that's good. Good job, Joe. Really good name. Congratulate yourself. Well done.
Pat on the back for you, lad.
Top work. Pat on the back. But I think that's given us a good broad introduction to the podcast and why we've called it the Missing Links. And again, this is only our first kind of introductory podcast. We'll be moving on to hopefully tons more interesting content, and if you feel like you're interested in us and what we talk about, and I'm sure our podcasting will develop and get better over time, naturally, as is the case with anything, even our golf. Hopefully you'll stay listening to us, which would be great. Do follow us on our social medias at the Fantastic Fore. Go to our website, thefantasticfore.com. Ed, have you got anything else to say before we finish this brief bit?
No, I think that's everything. I think that's a great start and introduction to what we do. One thing I was going to say is that the thing about golf is that making it such a small change feels so bloody uncomfortable. So doing something like Matty bringing the ball back in his stance, like you're moving the ball 2 centimeters, but it feels so damn uncomfortable. And I think that's just like part of the headache that you have with it.
It was Sunday morning when Ben's there, this is a guy who can drive greens, hit the ball so far, but yet can slice it, a few fairways away. And it's just, you never know what you're going to get. And that's part of the thrill about it. And then we said, where are you aiming? He's like, I'm aiming straight. It's like, Ben, look at your feet, man. They're going 4 fairways away. And he just couldn't believe, and then obviously when he turns around and he brings his feet back and lines up, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
These changes are just, not to be taken lightly, really.
Good.
But if you're in that situation, we feel your pain. That's one thing. We're with you. We're with you. We know how it feels. And we've got many more uncomfortable journeys to go.
Yeah, and we can, I think, as these go on, maybe weekly, maybe fortnightly, monthly, we can out with maybe learnings from the course, definitely learnings from the course, and some good tales to go with those, perhaps proving our theories to be right and maybe some proving them to be vastly wrong. But it's all learning, and it's all good to chew over and to take in the format of this podcast.
Good. Right. I think that's a good sentence to end it on. Thank you for listening, and we'll speak to you next time. Goodbye.